Aim in Valorant is pretty important. I don't think you don't need like the best of the aim. Like you don't need perfect aim all the time. Like even I whiff, and I'd say aim is important in the game, but it's still kind of like a smaller aspect of Valorant. Some important aspects of aiming in Valorant is, first off, this is kind of overlooked a lot of the time, especially by lower elo players, is crosshair placement. Crosshair placement is extremely important because it basically makes your life easy. If you have good crosshair placement, you don't have to flick much. And if you don't flick much, you're more consistent overall. Next thing that I'd say is important about aiming is just like spray control, or like when to burst, when to tap. I think in Valorant especially, I think spraying is not as great for like consistent gameplay. And when I compare it to like CS, Valorant spray patterns are random in some aspects, so it's definitely not good to always rely on it. And I would say for the most part, learning to just kind of focus on bursting or tapping is really beneficial. Also, knowing how to use certain guns. So for an example, if I am going to compare the Sheriff and the Phantom, the way you play those two guns completely different, because the Sheriff is a one-hit headshot weapon at like medium range, I'd say, and it's basically like you can shoot once, but you're not able to full auto like you can with the Phantom. So a thing you can do with the Phantom is you're able to play like up close angles, and that's where its strength is. Whereas the Sheriff, you can kind of take more of longer range angles. And I think it's really important to kind of play to the gun's strength. So right now in Valorant, there's kind of a split between Phantom and Vandal. And really the gun it comes down to what you're gonna do with the gun. So for an example, I would say in most situations, you actually benefit from having a Phantom. But on certain maps, such as Icebox, the Vandal is very prominent, and especially with how many off angles, how many headshot angles and long range duels you take, the Vandal is a lot more superior on that map. But if I'm going to compare it to other maps, the close range angles you take a lot more often, so the Phantom's more superior. Also, the fact that it has a suppressor that allows you to kind of spray through smokes and not really get spammed back is really, really nice. So common aiming mistakes I see when I spectate people on ranked, it kind of ties in with just like a general gameplay as well, but I see it in their aim as well, is when someone is in like a clutch situation, for example, they get kind of nervous and they get really undecisive with where they want to position themselves, where they want to look. So a lot of the time they might try to like hold two angles at the same time, but you should just be trying to focus one at a time rather than exposing yourself and taking on like every angle possible. Or another thing I see a lot in ranked, someone will kind of celebrate too early, or I don't really know what it is, but if they get a kill, they'll like flick down into the ground, or they'll pull out their knife. It really is good to kind of like just stay in the same like mindset throughout the round until you kind of get the last kill, and try not to like celebrate too early. What I'd recommend to players that struggle a lot with their aim is going into a deathmatch and focusing on certain aspects of their aim. So for an example, you can go into a deathmatch and you'll try to go for, let's say, one taps only, and really focus on like where your crosshair placement is and trying to improve that certain aspect of your gameplay. You can go into a DM, try bursting, try spraying, just try to focus on one thing at a time, and you'll notice that you'll improve a lot quicker. Another thing you could do is you could use aim training programs. They do help. So when it comes to crosshair placement, there is like a tip I have. When you're holding an angle, if you think the person's gonna walk peek it, you hold a tight angle. If someone's you think can swing, you hold a wider angle. And the thing that I also do is if I'm holding an angle that I actually can't hear, you automatically assume that they're gonna swing, because if you're holding a tight angle when they swing, you'll probably just die. Whereas worst case scenario, they swing and you're holding the wide angle, then you have a more fair fight. I want to provide an example right here. So let's say I'm going to be clearing some angles into hookah. And the first thing that you should be doing is you should be thinking about what are the most common angles an enemy could be sitting in hookah. So right off the bat, this is a really common op angle, or just sometimes people jiggle this angle. So think about like, oh, he would play here. They could potentially play like here in one of these corners, or they could be playing on top of this little stool right here, or on the left of it, or on the top here. So now I want you to think kind of like, what angles do you take first? And right off the bat, this is the first angle you take, and then this and this are the second angles you take. And then the final angle is this one, and the last angle is this one. So you kind of like, you do the process of elimination of clearing angles in your head. So right off the bat, I clear this angle, I'm like, okay, nobody's there. And then I'll walk up, I'll clear like the right angle, I'll clear left, and then I'll clear left, right, and kind of like clear beyond the box. So if you see how my crosshair is, I'm positioning it to where the enemies could be, but I'm also peeking the angles, or positioning my crosshairs for the angles of when they could be peeking me. So for example, I'm not gonna just pre-aim right here and swing like this to clear that angle. I wanna be clearing every other angle that I challenge first before that angle. And you do that for each angle when you're clearing. And I'm just giving hookah a demonstration, but just go into like an offline server by yourself and look at like spots that you want to entry up, or spots you just want to like work up, and really just think about how the enemies would play and practice playing against it and just like clearing the angles. The next example I'm going to give is, let's say we're walking up long B, and I'm going to be providing like 3 different examples. So like low elo, high elo, and then what a pro player would do. And so if I'm talking about like low elo, what I would expect is someone to just kind of like walk up like this and just like half clear angles and just kind of like walk up like this without really like hard clearing anything. Now, if we're talking high elo, I think right away the person would instantly like kind of hard clear this angle, but I think that they'll kind of not be as careful of like potential off angles of the enemies. So they'll just instantly try to hard clear this angle, and there might just be a guy there. So you always want to just have your crosshair kind of positioned, ready, just in case someone's in an off angle. Like it happens a lot. I'd say in Garden, like this is played quite a bit, so you have to be more cautious of that. Or on top of that, like there's a lot of things to be worried about. But yeah, the high elo player, you'd probably come up and you'd probably like clear the angles like this and like walk up like that. Now, if we're talking about a pro player, right off the bat, the pro player, he's gonna walk up and he's gonna clear angles from far away. And also he's gonna be backing up like this and clearing like this angle. Because if we're talking about, I wanna clear this angle from right here, I could potentially be exposing my like rifle to someone holding like this or something like that. So you wanna take the angles like really far away, so you're exposing yourself to as little angles as possible at a time. So I can clear like this, clear like this. As I said before, I'd kind of like swivel peek like this. And as soon as I know nobody's here, I'd do like a hard swing like that. Next up, I back up again, and then I start walking up, and I make sure to always kind of stay back and not stay too close to an angle. And let's say I'm clearing this angle right here too, on the left of wood. I would actually take a far angle and then swing. Whereas maybe like someone who is at high elo, they'll clear the angle, but they won't actually peek it from far. And the reason why you want to peek it from far compared to close is because if it's close, you actually see less of the person, or they actually see you first. So because your model is kind of like sticking out the closer you are, and your screen is obscured, you won't really see them until like you're right here. Whereas if you're peeking the angle far, you'll probably see each other like around the same time. So that's why it's really good to kind of like position your movement like that. So we're gonna be talking about this clip where it kind of demonstrates my aim, and I'm sitting backside of A on split. I'm playing Reyna and I have Empress popped, and right now, as you can see, I'm in a 1v5 situation. And so ideally, when you're in a 1v5 situation, you want to isolate 1v1s. That's kind of your key to winning. Reyna kind of has a small cheat by kind of being allowed to take a 1v2 duel and being able to dismiss away. It's kind of the appeal to the character. So I'm in I would say like a perfect scenario to kind of utilize Reyna. And so right off the bat, this Jet is getting a little bit wild. He gives me the first kill. Instantly, I'm not going to use the dismiss because if I dismiss and the enemies run in, I'm going to die because I'll just appear and I won't be able to have my gun out. So right away, I leave this orb and I'm going to be holding elbow for other people to peek up. And so I have my crosshair placement for wide angle, and you see both of them swing extremely wide. I get those 2 kills and I use the dismiss there because I know that's a pair. And most of the time when people try to trade, they trade in pairs. I took the orb and I used the dismiss to kind of locate people because I am invisible. They don't know where I'm going to be jiggling. They don't know where I'm going to be peeking other than like the left and right, I mean. But I peek and I see this killjoy. So what I do next is I take the other orb and do the same thing to find the other guy. I saw the raise heaven. I get this kill, I jiggle and get the other kill. So just as like a quick summary of what I just went over, this is a lot more of like isolating 1v1s and taking duels properly. But also if you see like in this demonstration right here, look how wide I hold this angle compared to like how you think someone would normally hold. It is because they are going to swing in this angle. If they know I'm there, they're going to swing. They're not probably like, they're not going to jiggle. So right off the bat, I hold that wide angle and they both swing and I get that kill. And that's kind of like a basis. If you think they're going to swing, hold a wide angle. If you think they're going to jiggle or slow peek you, you hold a tight angle. If you don't know what they're going to be doing and you can't hear them, automatically hold a wide angle. So this clip was actually a round from Twitch Rivals when I was playing. So right off the bat, I'm playing Sage, not a pick you normally see me on, but we were kind of having fun in the Rivals event. I come up here and they're taking B site. My teammate dies, and so I try to get across spawn right here while this cage is up, and I was able to do that. And right here, I'm able to get a timing on the Sova and get the 1 kill. I see the Sage hookah, so that's my like next target. And then after I peek the Sage and I think I heard him, he hides. And I know I don't have to worry about the Sage anymore because he's probably not gonna peek without the help of another teammate, or like he's scared of me holding him, and so that for that reason he won't peek, and therefore I don't have to hold him and I can focus on other angles. So you see right here, I look at a different angle, I get the Cypher, and I can re-hold the Sage again, just in case he tries to get the trade on his teammate that just died. I run out here, and this one's kind of like where you can see my aim showcase where I go for taps and stuff. And they both double swing me, and I get 2 1-taps. And as a quick summary, like I said before, isolating 1v1s is really good when you're kind of like down numbers and have to pick it up. Because if you're challenging multiple people, if you challenge 4 people at the same time, you're not going to win. You might get 1 max, but if you challenge 4 people in 4 separate 1v1s, then your chances of winning are a lot higher. Right here, you can see that I placed my crosshair like pretty wide just in case people swing for me. And like, as you can see, they're not going to be jiggling in angles like this. And when you're holding angles and you don't know what they're going to be doing, just hold a wide angle and it'll make it so much easier for you.